Welcome to the Book of Balance podcast, where real stories meet real numbers. I'm your host, Patricia Oholeguy, your bookkeeper and believer that business should serve your life, not consume it. Each week, we sit down with entrepreneurs who've built their dreams from scratch and learned to balance their books, their boundaries, and their energy along the way. Ready to turn the page on financial stress and write your own story of clarity? Let's dive in. Welcome, welcome. Here I am
Hey,
today with an incredible guest. I have Lea Lamela, so welcome.
thank you. I'm happy to be
And
here.
yes, welcome to the Book of Balance podcast. And as everybody knows, I'm Patricia Oholeguy. And today we're going to be talking about how Lea has come from a very unique path in life and has created something that is so incredible. I'm going to let her share all about it. But once I started talking to her, I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like so interesting. Perhaps because I'm a little bit in real estate and I have dipped my feet a little bit into flipping property and construction myself, that I just like, oh my gosh, I so need to talk to her now. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So tell us, can you tell us how you got into working in your current profession, and how did you decide that this was the thing for you that called you out, that is like, I gotta do this?
Okay, so I did not have a call me out. You've got to do this situation. So actually, it comes from the worst thing that has ever happened to me, which then
Right.
became the best thing that has ever happened to me thus far in life.
That's what it
Uh,
always is, right?
right. So I had 7 different careers in my lifetime. I thought that I was doing something wrong because I would see other people who, they knew what they were gonna do when they were very young, or they went to college to be an accountant or, work in business, and then they followed through with that same career, and that's not what happened with me. In fact, the career that I stayed with the longest, I worked, in it over a decade in, was medical aesthetics.
Okay.
Now, laws changed. So I went from being able to do Botox and laser treatments to not being able to do medical aesthetic treatments on my own anymore unless I went back to school for an RN or an MD
Oh,
or partnered with a plastic surgeon. So I was in the middle of a transition period where I was deciding, do I really want to go back to college to get the credentials that are going to allow me to do what I've been doing for already a decade? And during that process, a ex-boyfriend from high school popped up on Facebook. You know how that happens. We're
yeah.
on
Yeah,
Facebook
people just pop up.
and people pop up, and he reached out to me, and you get this kind of like, oh my gosh, it was meant to be, right?
Right.
So we dated. I was in Boston at the time, and he was in New Jersey, and I'm born and raised in New Jersey. And when he proposed, I thought, oh, wow, I'm still in the middle of this transition period, and he has established work in New Jersey. Also, I was born and raised in New Jersey, I have family there. It just made sense for me to move back to New Jersey and move in with him. Well, the relationship was extremely toxic. I'm a domestic violence survivor. And what ended up happening was I had to flee the state literally for my life. I was living in a woman's shelter, so I had lost everything. And I was in a position now where I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, I'm older in life. I have no more finances. Like, when we got engaged, I intertwined everything.
Right.
And everybody thinks to themselves, like, I remember being 18, watching, Criminal Minds, watching a domestic violence story
This
going,
is
oh,
a great story. And I just want to pause for a quick second, because I want to remind anyone who may currently be in that situation. You did the tough decision, which was to go to to seek shelter. I mean, those making that decision is not for everyone, because people are, you kind of, even though they're there to support you, you kind of feel alone. And having to go to a shelter is not ideal. I mean, we all want to go to our friends' places that we can crash on to kind of get ourselves back into our own 2 feet. And having to seek a shelter in which you're going to be with other people who are also going through their own the stress, situations, etc., takes a lot. But here you are today, thriving in a completely different angle in life. And I just want to remind people who may be considering it that yes, going to that shelter, going to those places that may not look ideal are key for you to turn your life around to really be able to come out on the other side. Like I always say, choosing to go into a dark tunnel and then eventually you know that the light is somewhere 2 years down the line, but you're walking into a tunnel that is going to be very challenging because you know something wonderful is going to come out. So I want to commend you for it, but I want to encourage anyone who is currently in that situation to please think about it that if you're going to be okay. Like here's a perfect example of Leah that she just made it. And she is a living proof that there is help out there for those who need it. And you can be successful afterwards.
Yeah, you wanna get out. You do not stay, you need to get out
Right.
because it will just progressively become more and more violent without a doubt.
Correct. So yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we remind people because we don't know. I mean, there's a, if we just touch one soul, then
Mhm. Oh, yeah, of course.
we're in a great place. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think a lot of stigma comes with it. That's why people have a hard time walking away, but it's far more complicated than that. So in America, we love like criminal stories and crime watch and all of this. And it's very easy to not be in a situation or never be exposed to a situation like that and say, it's never going to happen to me. And it can literally happen to anyone, absolutely anyone. So do not fool yourself. Individuals, predators like this are extremely intelligent. They will isolate you. So there was no friends, there was no family for me to go to because I had been ostracized and isolated. And it happened so very, very, very slowly. It's like the spider web begins to be made and it just gets bigger and bigger until you're in a position where you're completely trapped. And that's where they want you. They want you tracked. I mean, he would take my driver's license, my bank accounts, and all my financials were associated with him, and he had access to them, and he would hide them from me. So it wasn't like I could just walk out the door.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Another thing that people don't understand is that domestic violence situations are very complicated, and the law does its best, but it needs to do better.
I
You're only as safe as how long it takes for the police to get there, and let me tell you, it takes too long. And then after the fact, if you have been assaulted, even if it's to the extent of, you're hospitalized or it was clear that, they were intending murder, something of that gravity,
uh-huh.
they can still be released that same night. So think about that. Like it's not like you get, hit for the
This is
first
when
time.
situations like places like the shelter for women are great because they provide you with that protection that you need while you're trying to break free.
Yes, so I am forever grateful to Providence House. That's the women's shelter that assisted me, but he did find me. So they will try to like hunt you down. And he happened
Right.
to find me at the location that I was being hidden at. And that's why I had to flee the state. I literally had to leave the state to get even further away and go to another women's shelter outside
Yeah.
of the
I
state.
think this is what I mean. Like you had support within the shelter. The,
Oh
sh-
yeah.
the, the same group within the shelter, they're not surprised that this happened. I mean, they know that this is a risk and they know that there's a chance someone may come. So they do a lot to protect women to begin with to minimize that. And if they see that the risk's still high, they will help you find a way for you to move to a safe location, even if it means moving out of state. So I think that's so important for people to hear as well. So
Yes, absolutely. So I'm in this position now where I lost all of my financial savings. I literally have the clothes on my back and my pets because that's it. So I had no clue what I was going to do. And I knew that I needed to financially bring myself back to a place where I can provide for myself and put a roof over my head. And no offense to people who work at Walmart, but working at Walmart ain't gonna cut it.
Right. I mean, it's a place to start.
Right. So my brother-in-law, he happened to overhear on a podcast about an all women's pre-apprenticeship program in the skilled trades. And I was like, he said, "You like working with your hands. Why don't you try the skilled trades?" And I applied for like a scholarship, like a full ride. And I had nothing to lose at this point. That's the
Right.
best thing about being at rock bottom. There's nothing more to lose. So you're not afraid
Right.
anymore. Like it's like I've already lost everything. And I happened to get the scholarship and I was able to go to the pre-apprenticeship. So I would go to the pre-apprenticeship program during the day and then head to the library after training and then go back to the women's shelter to rest my head. And that was my routine throughout the program. And that's when I fell in love with electrical work.
Ah, okay.
I was introduced to electrical, carpentry, and plumbing. And I thought electricity was the coolest thing. So that's what started me on the path of getting my electrical license. And in the construction industry, I quickly realized out of all the careers I've had, this is the career with the most opportunity to be your own boss and build your own business. And I felt very attracted to that because being in charge of how I support myself and not relying on an employer, having that freedom, especially being in a situation where a lot of my personal freedoms were taken
Yes.
from me.
Yes, I can see that 100%.
I wanted to be able to create my own business, and that's how Sparky Life Solutions became, which is a construction consulting company. So that was the path that brought me into the construction industry.
That is so amazing. I can see how this is almost like a little bit of math behind the scenes a little bit that you have to kind of figure things out.
A lot of math,
Mm. I
algebra,
think that's
trigonometry.
yeah, I can see that, that can be very interesting because you can see the need to understand the behind the scenes to be successful at electricity.
Yes,
And you
yes.
say you also, plumbing and carpentry?
I wasn't as attracted to plumbing and carpentry, but I have a lot of respect for those
Right,
professions. I always say the skilled trades is the foundation of civilization. If you ever gone to a third world country where there's no running water or electric, the worst of humanity is brought out in those situations because you are in a survival state.
right.
You do not have the opportunity to give to others because you can barely give to yourself. And so with the skilled trades, that's where the best part of us being human can be seen.
Incredible. Now you're able to open your construction company and you also have a podcast, right? So once you discover this new lease on life, basically you have this new company, you have a career, you have a profession, you finally own your life and your business. I mean, talk about a turnaround. How did you strategically decide, like, okay, I want to be an electrician and this is what I want to focus on? Did you decide you want to do commercial? Did you decide you want to do work, business to business? How did you decide to project your strategy as a women electrician? Because I think it's really cool. And I'm sure that probably gets a lot of people to turn their eye twice before they're like, oh, you're an electrician. Okay, let's talk more. But I'm sure that gets a lot of conversations going as well.
Yes. Yes. I think it's 4% of women in the United States are in the construction industry. So very itty bitty teeny weeny bit. And I just feel like it's because it's not introduced to a lot of women as a possibility.
That's
If you
very
don't ever hear about it or you don't even know or it's not on your radar,
Yeah,
then
it's
you're
not
not gonna
encouraged at all.
right,
Yeah, like,
right, you're not
yeah,
gonna investigate it.
yeah,
Um, the thing that I love about skilled trades and construction industry is that you get exposure to different trades. You get exposure to different types of electrical. Many people don't understand when you say electrician, they immediately think, oh, you install light bulbs or oh, you do outlets. And being an electrician is so much more than that. There's building automation, there's commercial work, industrial work, switch gear, there's linemen. Those are your utility power. There,
Right,
there, there
exactly.
is so much, and every electrician has a specialty. So it's not like the electrician that comes in your house to do an outlet is then operating utilities in a distribution yard. Like that is not what happens
They're gonna be
because
working on a transformer.
right. It's just very different, and everyone is very important and vital to the way that we function in society. So when you first get introduced to the industry, you get to see all these different elements. And I was very attracted to building automation. So one thing that I hate that you hear a lot when you're young in high school and having to decide what to do with your life is to follow your passion. I really hate that comments. I hate that approach. I feel it sets people up for failure because how could you possibly know what your passion is if you're not exposed to several different
Thank
types
you.
of
Thank
careers?
you. Like, I didn't realize I loved medicine until I decided that I wanted to be a teacher for the deaf. And then when I went to take a class for audiology, because that was part of the deaf studies program, I fell in love with audiology and I thought I would have loved to. So then I changed my career to audiology. So once I changed it to audiology, I then had to take another class for speech and language pathology, which talked about the human anatomy from the crown all the way to the torso. I had to learn the whole human anatomy, the bones, every single part of the bone, the muscles, all of it. I fell in love with medicine in that class. And it was too late for me to go back and redo everything to then be able to apply for medical school. So 100%, and I say that to my children all the time, you need to try different things because you don't know. This is what happened to me. I mean, I agree. How do you know if you've never been exposed to it?
Right,
So I
right.
think it's very, very true that, and but then again, it pushes people to go out of their comfort zone, something that a lot of us have struggled with. And not until you find yourself in a situation such as yours, in which you have nothing to lose, you take that fear of going out of your comfort zone kind of goes away because you're like, oh, I did it once, I'll be okay. But a lot of people that have not, that have been very fortunate and they've had a very comfortable life, sometimes coming out of their comfort zone is not something they've had to practice enough, that they're not going to go and volunteer in something that they never thought of just to see if it works or if it doesn't.
Right, right.
But that's why I always talk about, like, if you have this nudge, maybe I should like try it. Try it. You have nothing to lose. Lose that fear of trying something new. Because that's, I think, where really life begins.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Whenever I do speaking engagements for high schools and things like that, and we talk about careers and career path because I'm an advocate for the skilled trades. I always talk about like from the age of 10, no offense to dance classes and soccer games and, doing arts and crafts.
Yeah, they have other purposes.
Right. It would be much, much more of a win and advantageous and setting your child up for success
Mhm.
if you took that 10-year-old and had them shadow a physician for the day or had them shadow an accountant for the day, or if they want to be a singer, so a professional opera singer, having an opportunity to shadow someone who actually does the job that you think you might be interested in, where you get to walk a day in the life. If
Okay.
you were to do that from the age of 10 to the age of 18, trying different types of careers that you're attracted to, you'll have a much better idea of what you potentially will enjoy doing as opposed to never being exposed to it, watching only TV and thinking that the lawyer that you see on Law and Order
Right.
is the lawyer you're gonna be. Like
Right. Mhm.
that's not it.
That's a really, and you know what? It's funny that you say that because I've been thinking I should do the same thing for my son. I should have him shadow different people with different careers to see if this is what he really wants to do or not. Because as a parent, you also see a side of them that they don't see themselves. And so I think I should have him shadow it for one day so he can just say yes or no. And then I can also move on.
Yes, yeah. And I also think like, if your parent tells you you're good at something, a child is not gonna absorb that. the same way than when a stranger, because they go, "Ma, you just say me, mama." Like, of course you think I'm fabulous. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Like, so it's not going to have the same impact because you're so close, right?
Right, right, of course, it's the age too, it's like, I'm not gonna do what mom tells me to do. Like, hello, yes.
Right,
That's a
exactly.
different thing, but yeah, that's part of it.
Right. And if you don't, like, not everybody has the access or the network to introduce their children to these options. So, what I say is if you have no clue what you want to do, like I had no clue, none whatsoever. I had no business going to college. I never should have went to college. I'm glad that I did because who knows if it would have taken me down this path. And there are benefits to college. I would say that the benefits do not outweigh the cost unless you can get a full ride. That's my personal opinion.
Right,
But that if you have no clue and you don't have the means for a full ride, absolutely under no conditions take out a loan to go to college unless you are adamant that you want to be a lawyer, an accountant, a
you know
medical
what you're doing, if
professional,
you have a plan.
right? If you are like, I am going to be a physician, I know it, this is what I want, then you have no choice. You must get a college
Right,
degree, you
right,
must get the credentials for it. But if you have no clue, do not take out student loans to just fuck around and find out.
right,
That is
right,
a
right, yeah,
huge mistake. You should actually go into the skilled trades
right.
because the skilled trades will teach you how to be successful in life and it will expose you to many different types of trade work that will be very profitable. You will be able to live not paycheck to paycheck. You faster. You'll be in a far better position financially. And in the skilled trades, no other career is going to give you such a wide range of designing your life how you want to design it other than the skilled trades. So, what do I mean by that? I mean that let's say you're a night person. You do not like waking up early at all. In the skilled trades, you can put yourself in a position where you are only working at nights. You can, let's say you're the type of person who loves getting up in the morning. There are tons of professions within the skilled trades where that is the style
Yes,
of work.
100%, yeah.
Um, if you're the type of person who really starts in the skilled trades and you don't like the hands-on experience, there are so many positions within the construction industry you can go that will take you into the office without a college degree. So no other career is gonna do that for you. Like, if you're an accountant, you have to be available during 9 to 5 working hours. It is extremely unusual. I don't come across many accountants that work outside that time frame because that's when most people are available. I
Right.
mean, you have to have office hours where people are or that's the time frame
Yeah,
where the
you have to be
majority is.
reachable. You have to be reachable because as a bookkeeper, I can tell you, I am reachable 9 to 5. I do work many nights because
Right,
I
right,
prefer
outside of right.
to do other things during the day, but I make sure that I am 100% reachable.
Right.
And so if I have to drive the whole morning, I block my morning so people won't schedule appointments, but I am reachable. It's like, okay, like I will pull over, I will answer questions. But I still enjoy the flexibility that I can work at night because I am a night person. I'm not gonna ever get up at 6 in the morning.
There you go. So
That
there
is
you
just not
go.
me.
So that's why I'm such a huge advocate for the skilled trades because although you do have some flexibility, it's not the same thing when, okay, I want to work from, let's say, 4 p.m. until the
Yeah,
morning
it,
time.
it it helps you to work around your personality also, or
Yes.
your I don't know if personality is the right word, but the type of person you are. Like you said, some people are morning people, some people are
Right.
not. So it kind of allows you to be you and to
Yes.
find that balance and be much happy with who you are because you're in balance with your personal life.
Right. And a lot of people are turned off to the skilled trades and blue collar professions because of society and the culture and people in especially the United States, our media has presented blue collar careers as somehow less than um, that demeanor and
Yeah,
that
less is less desirable for sure. Yes.
right. And that's untrue. That's completely untrue. Why is it less desirable? Because you are doing physical labor? Why is physical labor a bad thing? How many of you pay to go to a gym?
Yeah, I
What do
know.
you
It's like, it's like
like?
you think about that was the way it should be. Yeah.
Well, and there's lots of studies. So Dr. Kelly Lambert, one of my favorite neuroscientists, talks about this in studies regarding rats and Fruit Loops. And she says that the rats that do the work and then get the reward of the Fruit Loops, so she has them do like little tasks and building things, that their brain chemistry, is far healthier than the rats that are just given the Fruit Loop and do no physical activity. In the skilled trades, not only are you using your mind, but you have to physically exert energy as well as using your mind. So you're problem solving, you're critical thinking, and you're physically exerting energy. And that combination really supports a healthy mind.
This is a great, great topic. I absolutely love it because I think as a society, I think we're finally doing a little bit of a turnaround that now people are starting to acknowledge that, well, we call them blue collar workers, right? But trade jobs. Now people's like, oh, trade jobs are great. They pay. But and so now people are starting to understand that if you decide to go into a trade career, you're going to probably do better than the white collar office person. And you hear it more and more out in in casual conversations with people that they tell you, "Oh, trade is like, oh, like almost they say like with respect, like they're gonna do well because they
Yeah.
know that a lot of this machinery people get paid 45 an hour, which, this is like, I'm just giving you a random example, but so people understand now that those jobs are so specialized that people are being compensated fairly for them. And therefore, I feel, I don't know if you've come across that, but I think from 20 years ago, people speak about trade jobs with a lot more respect than it was in the past.
It's definitely beginning to change.
Yeah.
So we're in the midst of the tides turning, but it's still not where it should be. So it's
Maybe because
hard
I
to,
work with people that are entrepreneurials, business owners that they see the profit of the return on investment. So they see like, oh, trade is like, that's great. So
right,
that could be probably why people are thinking so highly of trade because it is true that return on investment is significantly higher. And like you said, trade school is significantly cheaper and you do get paid a lot more by the hour than if you go and get a 4-year college to become a nurse and then you're still starting from the bottom. Like I can tell you as an educator, I went to school to become a teacher. So yeah, you start with a very low pay scale that has already been established and set up. And so, you'll be comfortable, right? You'll have a good life and you'll enjoy what you do. But trade is half the price and pays twice as much than a teacher,
yes.
probably. So yeah, something to think about. I just think is wonderful.
And not only in the skilled trades is the vocational schools more affordable, but you can get into the skilled trades with the union and not pay at all for your education. In fact, they will pay you to educate you, pay for your books, and then put you in a job.
Right,
So
right.
then you're getting paid on top of that. So you don't have to find your own job. You don't have to pay for your classes. You're being paid. It
That's
sets you up for success in so
That's
many
the
ways.
I hope we reach a few listeners at least, if not more, that this is a little light bulb that's gonna go on that it can really help them, find success in life or forward this to someone that they know could really benefit from. Because it is something that people don't think of it as an alternative option of a career when you're young. If you don't know someone, you don't think about it, like you said.
Right.
You only think about it because, oh, my Uncle Joe did this. And so that's how they kind of go in because they realize that there's a huge opportunity there.
Right. Right. And I think that a lot of the women don't know how much opportunity is in the skilled trades for them. I strongly push that more women consider the skilled trades career path. You will make far more financially in the skilled trades, in the construction industry, in that male dominated field than you will in other male dominated fields,
And
100%.
how do you see, I mean, like, what services are you currently offering as a woman entrepreneur in the field of construction?
So my specialty, I went from building automation to commercial fire alarm
Okay,
installation.
good to know.
So that's pretty much where my on the field activity is. But being in the skilled trades, what happened was I had this like aha moment. And I was so in love with what I was doing. I started to look around at my community, and all the guys were like Eeyores, and I was the Tigger. So I was like, wait a minute, something's not adding up. And if all the statistics say that using your mind and your body creates such a healthy mental state, why are these guys so downtrodden? What is the disconnect? Something doesn't make sense here. And one of the higher suicide rates, based off of like what career you're in, is construction industry. So again, that will these two conflicting ideas, right? How does that make sense? Well, here's the thing, because our community and our media has taken the honorable position of being in a construction career to such low levels. And because the construction industry has been allowed the culture to treat people in labor so poorly,
Mhm.
if you're in an environment and being somebody who was in that environment, I don't care how strong your character is, and you're being told that you're a piece of shit and that you mean nothing and you're just a number and you are easily replaceable. And if you don't do this overtime, I'll get somebody else who will.
Right.
You start to believe that about yourself.
And that this is just the way things are.
So once I realized the construction culture was toxic and needed to be completely rehauled, and that the society's impression of the construction industry careers was totally wrong, that's what sparked the podcast. And that's what created Sparky Life Solutions Consulting Company, because I work with individuals on female retention, leadership, company culture, how to increase your profits by changing your company culture, and how to help someone with, I just got my plumbing license and I want to start an LLC. I want to be like my town's local plumber. How would I do that? So
Okay.
helping them get to those levels because
Getting
there's such a
so
great need.
yeah, there is a huge need for trades, especially for plumbers. Yeah, I mean, plumbers are always hard to, but I mean, that's a great point. I think a lot of us as small business owners, no one comes in with 100% of the set skills you need to be successful running a business.
Right.
So I think understanding what skills you need to be successful can really help you. Now, another thing I think is important for small business owners to understand is you don't know everything. Like, I don't know everything to run my own business. And sometimes we think, oh, no, I got it. I know. It's like, I don't need help. And
Or I'll YouTube it, I'll Google it and figure it out.
exactly. And sadly, we do. And not until we accept that we cannot do this alone, we're not going to thrive and take it to the next level. And that is the biggest challenge as a bookkeeper. That's my biggest challenge because I see the companies. I mean, every single client of mine are already making a significant amount, and this is why they have a bookkeeper. And if they didn't have that bookkeeper, they would not continue to grow because by not outsourcing, you're kind of hindering yourself from growing. Like you mentioned at the beginning, you had to do a lot of the podcasts yourself, but eventually you outsourced that because you needed to delegate and use your time wisely. And I think when small businesses need to understand that having someone like you coming in and supporting them is not necessarily an expense, is an investment to be able to create a strategic plan to really be able to grow to the next level because no one walks into this earth knowing everything. And this is why we look for relationships in our personal life because the other person brings something you don't have.
Right.
And what do I enjoy most when I thought of this, and then the other person's like, oh, I thought of that. You're like, oh, I never thought of that idea. What a great idea. And all of a sudden, great things happen. But if you don't allow that other great idea to come from the outside, you would have never probably been able to grow as a person. And I think in business is the same thing. You need to be open to have outside people, consultants to come and guide you to help you go to the next step. So I think your role is extremely important because as a small business owners, we are alone
Yes. Yes, definitely.
and you
I
need someone to guide you.
Can you do things on your own? Of course you can, but it will be a much slower, much more painful process, and you might never stumble upon the behaviors or the changes that you need to make to get you where you want to be, as opposed to hiring someone who has the experience in that category, has the knowledge, has put in the time that will significantly propel you in the right direction.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. So I think we're coming to the end of our time together. It's been great. So, what would be the takeaways you would give small business owners who have made the decision, they have jumped on board, they have their business going? How would you have them proceed based on your experience as a business owner? And especially since you're helping so many other small business owners with their strategic plans, what is one thing that you see that is very common that people should be focusing on that they haven't thought of? And what would be some of the takeaways you would tell people?
Okay, so my background and my experience is with the construction industry. So I want to preface with that because this could be different for other careers.
Hmm.
But what I see within small business owners or large corporations, even, is that they're very, very good at the hard skill. They're an expert in the hard skill and they are lacking in soft skills. And your soft skills will get you to your financial goals faster than your hard skills.
So, can we just, for those who may not be familiar with the terms hard skills and soft skills, let them know? So, when you say hard skills, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so I'm going to use an electrician as an example.
Okay.
So a hard skill would be running conduits, pulling wire, being able to use trigonometry so that the symmetry of your raceway, which is basically the path that the conductor, the wire, is going to move in, the ability to terminate a panel safely and understand how you're manipulating the electricity to do what you want it to safely. That would be hard skills.
So, would you
Okay.
consider the hard skills to be like your expertise?
Yes, your expertise in performing the
That trade or what?
job or
Right.
the service you're being hired for, whatever that service is.
Right.
Uh, the soft skills is how do you communicate to your team or the crew that you're working with? What is your leadership style? Are you a transformative leader or are you a transactional leader or a little bit of both? How do you communicate to your customer? How do you sell your service in a way that best communicates how much value you're bringing in? How do you break down or communicate the importance of your service? Those are all soft skills. So it's basically your
Human,
interpersonal relationships.
your human relationships, your human resource piece, if you want to. For the big companies, call it human resources, right? But
Yeah.
that's really what it is the human aspect of running a business that it's not you walk in and it's like, oh, I know what to do to build a closet and you come in and you just do it and walk out. Is being able to communicate with other people who are working with you to build that closet. How do you engage with them? So yeah, that's a really good point. So I'm gonna let you move on, but I'm like, I could talk for hours about the human aspect of a business.
Yes, yes, because it's so important. It's
Yes.
something that it gets so lost in translation. We so easily can talk about an SOP or ROI or the numbers and the stats and doing all of that because it's very structured and analytical. But it's very hard to teach and show people the value of soft skills. But the stats prove that the higher the company culture and the better the soft skills, the more profitability.
100%. And I think it's also because you need to have that community, that human connection because in the end, we don't work for the company, we work for you.
Mhm.
And so if I like you and you call me at 2 in the morning and you're asking me for some absurd favor, but I think you're the coolest person ever, I'll be so happy to come and do whatever crazy thing you ask me because I appreciate you. I think you're a cool person. You're really nice to me. There's this relationship, if professional relationship in which is a give and take, and therefore I'm able to be there for you. But if the leader doesn't build that vibe, that energy that can go back and forth, I think it's very hard for the employees to be there for you. And therefore, you cannot delegate out to continue to grow, which I believe is the soft skills. Because as a leader, I believe you need to have the, I call it finesse, because I just kind of like, I'm kind of bougie like that. But you need to have that tact and know to listen to people, see where they're coming from, and present things in a way that they can understand.
Yes.
And some people don't have the patience for that. And I respect that. But as a business owner and a leader, you need to step out of your own situation and help people see for who you are. And I think you have to earn the respect. It's not like you do this because I'm your boss, but rather there has to be that collaborative, that relationship. It's a relationship, and if you don't build relationships within your organization, I agree with you 100%. You don't have a company.
Yeah.
You
No,
don't have a company.
so to touch on respect, 100%, if you do not respect your employer, you're not going to work for them well or long, most likely. And if you are someone who soft skills you struggle with, you don't have to go, oh my gosh, now I have to learn. I suck at this. I'm not a people person. What am I going to do? Partner with someone with strong soft skills. So you have an option. If your hard skills are top notch, you are the best at what you do. And there are many billionaires who have done this, by the way. You can partner with someone with strong soft skills, and that combination will be deadly.
That's, think about it, Steve Jobs and Tim Cook,
Right,
right? I mean,
right, right,
you can see it right there. They were completely opposite, but they saw what each other brought to the table and they made it work. And
right.
I have someone who she's an incredible doctor, but she is like her soft skills are like non-existent. So every
Mhm.
time she needs something, she'll call me Patricia, but she knows what she needs, and we kind of try to collaborate as much as we can. So that is a very important thing. Understanding what you don't have, not don't feel bad about it because you're not
Right,
supposed to have everything, but just seek the right support.
right.
Well, great. This was a great conversation. Again, where can people find you? So, just to remind everyone, we do have at the end of our podcast in our description, we have a link with all of the information. We'll have Leah's background, her links, her, if you have a website, or if you have any other freebies or brochures or whatever, we'll make sure that all of that is included on that brochure that we hand out. And is there anything else? Where can people find you?
Yeah, if you
What's
are interested in listening to the podcast is Sparky Life. You can find us on all podcast platforms. Or if you're interested in Sparky Life Solutions Consulting, that's www.sparkylifesolutionsllc.com.
Well, thank you so much, Leah. This was a great opportunity to talk to you and talk about something that we don't get to hear every day, but it's so much fun outside of the box. And this is exactly what I wanted to have you over to discuss. So thank you. And to all of you, have a great day. Take care. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of the Book of Balance podcast. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the insights we shared. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a future episode. And as promised during the show, you'll also find a link in the description with today's guest information, website links, and all the mentions we talked about during the episode. And if you're a do-it-yourself entrepreneur, you can join the Clarity Compass method at claritycompassllc.com. It's a monthly subscription where business owners like you dedicate just 1 hour each week to work in their books, get their questions answered, and stay consistent with their support of a community committed to financial clarity. Now, if you'd like to connect with me personally, head on to my website, oholeguy.com, to schedule your complimentary 15-minute consultation. It's the perfect way to get your personalized bookkeeping questions answered and explore how the white glove services can support your business. And on the last note, remember, we are not lawyers or financial advisors. Everything shared here reflects our professional opinions and is provided solely for educational purposes and entertainment purposes only. So thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep your compass set on clarity.